Going to be learning all about how nature can make you kinder, happier, and more grateful. Back in 30. Hello, we're live. My name's Shamash, author of Mindfulness for Dummies, and today we're talking all about nature. And I think nature is so important. That's why I've brought my office chair out here in the middle of Epping Forest to enjoy these beautiful trees. Let me know if you see any dangerous animals or anything, and I'll move move my chair away. So today we're talking about nature and why nature is really important and how it can actually help us. So I found a little bunch of scientific studies about how it can boost kindness, happiness, and creativity and things like that. And I'll go through them. And then we will think about some ways or ideas about how we can spend just a tiny bit more time in nature, even if it's a minute or two, maybe it could help. So, first one is talking about how nature can decrease your stress. So, we know that things like hiking and walking, any physical activity can reduce stress and anxiety, but there's something about being in nature that can be really helpful. And so, one experiment they did in Japan, they took participants and grouped them either to be walking in a forest, like this forest we have here, or in an urban area. And they checked their heart rate variability, which is a good measure of stress, I think, heart rate, blood pressure, and also filled out questionnaires about their mood and their stress level. And as you can guess, those that walked in the forests had significantly lower heart rates and higher heart rate variability. And that's what indicates whether you're more relaxed and less stressed. And they reported better moods and less anxiety than those who worked in urban settings. And the researchers found that, okay, so being in nature is more beneficial effect on your stress reduction above and beyond just the physical exercise. They did another research study in Finland, and they found that people who lived in the cities, who walked around as little as 20 minutes through a little park or a little woodland, reported significantly more stress relief than those who just walked in the city centre. Actually, they're not too sure about this. The scientists say that the effects are unclear, but they believe that we've evolved to be more relaxed in natural spaces. Um, my kind of theory of it, and I've read this somewhere before, is that we've evolved over millions of years to spend more time in places that would be safer for us. And if you're near the green woodland or you're near water and lakes, that's going to be sending a signal to your system that this is a safe place. You're going to live longer if you hang out here. So I reckon that's probably why. Secondly, nature makes you happier as well. So in one 2015 study, they took one group and they randomly assigned them to 15 minutes walk either in a natural setting, woodlands, oak woodlands, or in an urban setting, a four-lane road. And before and after the walk, they assessed their emotional state, what their thinking level or cognitive measures were like, such as how well they could perform tasks requiring short-term memory. And the results showed that those who walked in the nature experienced less anxiety, less rumination, which is about this kind of negative cycling thoughts and negative effect, as well as more positive emotions compared to the urban walkers. And they also improved their performance on memory tasks if they'd spent more time in nature. And then there was another study that was done where they focused in on the rumination bit, how walking in nature affects rumination, which is actually linked to anxiety and depression, where you have this kind of constant worrying. And they also do the fMRI to look at brain activity. That's really interesting. Functional magnetic resonance imaging. So really having a clear look inside the brain. And the participants who went on an hour and a half walk, either in a natural setting or in a city setting, had their brain scanned before and after the walks, as well as their rumination levels. The researchers controlled for all sorts of different factors that would affect the brain activity, like the physical exertion, the actual exercise. And even so, the ones who had walked in a natural setting versus those that had walked in a city setting, they reported less rumination, less of the worrying thoughts after the walk, and they showed an increased activity in a part of the brain in the prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain whose deactivation is linked with depression, anxiety too. So, a finding that suggests that nature has an important impact on our mood. So, they've done some real detailed studies there, haven't they? That was the second one. Third group is that nature relieves attention fatigue and increases your creativity. Let's see what the study there says. I've got it here. 2012 study it is. Some chaps got together and they showed that hikers on a 4-day backpacking trip could solve significantly more puzzles requiring creativity compared to a group that were doing the same hike. In fact, 50% more creativity. Although other factors may account for the results, for example, the exercise or the chatting to each other, prior studies have suggested that the nature itself may play an important role in the creativity. Um, and then they tried to explain why that might be. And they say it might be due to differences in brain activation when viewing natural scenes versus more built up scenes, even those who normally live in an urban environment. And there's some more studies there where they've checked on the brain activity. I watched a great video yesterday on mindfulness on Netflix, actually, and they talk about what's called the default brain network that's activated. And when we're kind of worrying or thinking a lot, that part of our brain gets activated. But as we start to do more mindfulness practice, we have better control of when that gets triggered or not. So that's interesting. Fourthly, nature may help you to be kind and generous. In a series of experiments they did in 2014, Daka Keltner, who's the head of the Greater Good Science Center. You may have heard of the Greater Good Science Center in Berkeley. Their website is excellent. I recommend you check it out. They studied the potential impact of nature on the willingness to be generous, trusting, and helpful towards others. This is really interesting. As part of this study, the researchers exposed participants to more or less beautiful nature scenes, which were rated independently. And then they observed how the participants behaved playing two different types of economic games. One is called the dictator game, and the other one's a trust game. And that game can help to measure people's generosity and trust, respectively. After being exposed to more beautiful nature scenes, the participants acted more generously and more trusting in the games than those who saw less beautiful nature scenes. And the effects seemed to disappear due to corresponding increases in positive emotion. Isn't that interesting? And in another part of the study, the researchers asked people to fill out a survey about their emotions while sitting at a table where there were more or less beautiful plants. This is interesting because a lot of us, obviously, I think probably all of us live indoors and we spend a lot of time indoors these days. So, what's the effect of this? So, where was I? Yes, afterwards, the participants were told that the experiment was over and that they could leave. But if they wanted to, they could volunteer to make paper cranes for a relief effort program in Japan. The number of cranes made, those little paper cranes, was used to measure their, in a sense, their kindness, their pro-sociality, they call it, their willingness to help, the willingness to be kind. And the results showed that the presence of more beautiful plants significantly increased the number of cranes that people made, and that this increase was again mediated by positive emotion by the natural beauty. The researchers concluded that experiencing the beauty of nature increases positive emotion, perhaps by inspiring awe, a feeling akin to wonder, with a sense of being part of something bigger than oneself, which then leads to more kinder behaviors. And then this article goes on to say that the support for this theory comes from an experiment done in California by colleagues in which participants were staring up at a grove of very tall trees for just 1 minute to get them to experience a sense of awe. And they found that they were more willing. I remember reading about this study before as well. They're more willing to help others out when somebody drops something. They're more willing to help pick it up. I think they compared it to, they took one group where they looked at really, really tall trees, and another group they get them to look at a really tall building, and then someone pretends to drop something, and they see, oh, are they going to help them out or not? Looking at the taller trees, having that great sense of awe, they were more willing to. And then the final one is they say mindfulness, not mindfulness, nature makes you feel more alive. I'm not sure there's a particular study on that, is there? There's lots of research about the psychological health and well-being of that. So I know this is intuitively, a lot of us know the importance of nature, but it's nice to actually read about it and know that the people have been studying it and they've found it to be beneficial too. Who knows? Just you watching me sitting in this beautiful forest here um, may make you a bit more kinder, a bit more generous, a bit happier, or maybe not. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I did a fun thing yesterday where we just shared in one of the groups an opportunity to donate $1 to plant a tree. I found a website called Team Trees. I think it's called teamtrees.org. And they challenged themselves to plant 20 million trees, raise funds, and they managed to do that, but they're still going. They're trying to plant more trees. And they've teamed up with another charity in the US, one of the biggest, I think, that plants trees all around the world, I believe, wherever it's most needed. So if you want to be part of that little project, we managed to plant 171 trees yesterday. And so the invitation is to just plant one tree. Just go to that website, Team Trees. I think it's called teamtrees.org, or just type it in Google or whatever, Team Trees, and donate $1 there, and you can plant one tree today. I think that's super cool. And if you do that, just leave it in the comments. I want to see how many we can plant together. We're up to 171. Maybe if one of you plants one, we'll be up to 172, which would be great. Thanks a lot for watching. Today's Thursday, which means tomorrow is Friday, which means it's almost the end of the week. And then the next day is Halloween. We're doing a mindful Halloween rave thing. You can join in for that. And then in November, 1st November, we'll be starting the Daily Mindfulness Club the next month and the next challenge. So if you'd like to listen to a recording of a guided brand new meditation every day for half an hour, or you would like to even join us live every morning at 7:30 in the morning for half an hour of guided meditation, get in touch with me however you want, and we can help you to join that. Wonderful. Thanks a lot for watching. Have an awesome day. And I'm going to go back into this forest now. So see you later. Bye.